What a fantastic and exciting and short week it's been this week. Let's review some of the things that have been happening. So the Commission of Inquiry continues to expose this rot that is eating up our country from the inside out. It's like a cancer. It's absolutely terrible. Our police force is so fractured and dismantled, you can't even tell a cop from a crook these days, would appear. Bless his soul, Ian Cameron, what a man. Focused on and has destroyed the untouchable Lieutenant General Shadrach Sibiya. Go and watch the commission's seating late at night, 11:30 this week at night. These guys are at it, and what a man he is. This high-ranking general, Lieutenant General Sibiya, is currently the current national deputy commissioner for crime detection, directly responsible for the national crime fighting strategy and the key investigations that should be happening with a nationwide authority that he sits in his power. In short, he's one of the top 3 to 5 most powerful operational officers in the entire police force, Shadrach Sibiya. Thanks, Ian Cameron, for starting the collapse of the empire of lies and deceit. His empire started to crumble as you've thrown bombshells and they've hit him one after the other. A trust relationship between us citizens and our police force is essential, and this is true in any country, you would agree, I'm sure. The public confidence in SAPS, the South African Police Services, has drastically been eroded, and it is currently at an all-time low. Are you surprised? I'm not. What I do know is that our government, our parliament, has a massive challenge on their hands. This GNU, gosh, they've got to start showing us where their worth is and what their worth is about. They've got to try and assist in restoring the lost integrity and credibility that these officers once had. 31 years ago, you wouldn't dream of some of the shenanigans. You wouldn't dream of a lawlessness that is happening in our country today. Absolutely, firmly believe that unless this is remedied soon, social order will continue to crack and all but evaporate through those cracks. If the law loses its bite, the citizens lose trust and the corruption just spreads far and wide. Honest officers leave as they have in droves, and the politics get involved because the police is compromised. The two, in my opinion, should be absolutely, and should be, not just my opinion, should be absolutely split. If it doesn't, the officers have left and the police or the political intervention and manipulation deepens. What follows then? Economic fallout, and communities start to fracture because law and disorder just takes over. Just think of our current taxi situation and lack of law-abiding citizens resulting from what is happening, I believe, a lot. Yes, it's been coming for a long time. So my question is this: when those who have been sworn in to uphold law and order, when they start breaking it, who stands in the gap between them and us? So, 2 men this week on my radar. One, Shadrach Sibiya, who we've just spoken about, but more about him now. And then another dude, Vusimusi, Cat Matlala. One an officer, another one a businessman. So here's the backstory for Mr. Sibiya. He was dismissed from the SAPS already back in 2015, some 10 years ago, in the Richard Mdluli case, for misconduct related to some Zimbabwean case that happened at the time. He claims he was a victim in that case, and he maintains the charges against him were politically motivated, and he appealed the decision and won. He then went on to work for the city of Johannesburg, the COJ, where he was also ultimately investigated for irregularities there. His appointment without due process being followed. He didn't have the required security clearances for the post that he held. He was overseeing something called the GFIS, the Group Forensic Investigation Services, where he bought specialized spying equipment through an irregular procurement process and without proper authorization even. He is alleged to have received, let's call it, unlawful gratification, otherwise known as brown envelopes or kickbacks, something to that effect, to the tune of around 3.5 million rand. The GFIS, which he was overseeing, also incurred 580 million rand in irregular expenditure, buying things irregularly, not following due process. So the procurement under his leadership lacked proper delegation, and they didn't even have the legal mandate to do what he was doing. Court case again, and guess what? The High Court eventually vindicated him from all these claims. Go and look at something called the Sibiya report. So where did he go after that? Well, back to SAPS. He's now one of the longest serving, most experienced and competent police officers that we have in our police force. He's recently applied for a post in the Hawks, the Directorate, the DPCI, Directorate for Priority of Crime Investigations. The Hawks, blocked. And he claims he was blocked because of someone trying to stop his upward movement, his upward career, and that people are running a smear campaign against him. So what have we seen this week with him? We've seen our politician, Ian Cameron, grilling. Go and watch it. It's phenomenal. A police general. The public exposure showing off a state that is in collapse. We have seen the dismantling of high-ranking officials starting here, man, and may it continue, because this rot runs deep with many people. This exposing of factionalism and incompetence inside and crippling the police services as we are. I'm an ex-military man myself, back in the 80s when we were forced to, under the national government, to go and do nationale dienstplig, 2 years of our lives, 2 years of my life. There we knew all about discipline and order, which is absolutely missing today in our police services. Here you find low-ranking officers facing harsh judgment, rapid punishment for minor things that they've done, even on unproven allegations, whilst we have a Major General in our midst, Major General Mudli, which can stay off work for 2 years on sick leave without even putting in proper sick leave applications and following due process there, a senior member. He was dismissed whilst he was on this sick leave, and a decision that was ruled to be unlawful and resulted in him coming back in reinstatement. They then tried to force him into some role to get him back into the system, being blocked by internal squabbles amongst senior officials who don't like the man, and there's mudslinging going on. The result, the safety and security of our country that you and I live in are compromised because some senior leaders can't play nice and can't get on together. The SAPS is operating more like some factionalized entity and some really daft soap opera that's playing out in front of our eyes. For context here, the police services have spent more than 131 million bucks on paid sick leave. 618 officers in the police force have received 131 million rand in the last 6 months, let's say. Do you think this could be another scandal waiting to be uncovered, Ian Cameron? Sibiya. Now on to Cat Matlala, his story. He's been named as an influencer of senior police and political figures as a businessman. He's allegedly one of South Africa's most notorious crime kingpins. He too has a criminal record spanning some 25 years, going back to around about the year 2000. But here's some of them. More recent ones. In 2018, there was an 11-Hout Bosch attempted murder case against him. Withdrawn. In 2016 in Sandton, possession of a firearm without a license and impersonating a police officer. Guess what? Withdrawn. 2015 in Silverton, Pretoria, carjacking and possession of stolen goods. Guess what happened? Withdrawn. Alberton, house robbery, withdrawn. Burglary of residential premises. The case was withdrawn. common assault, and even a cash and transit heist against his name. He was acquitted, withdrawn. Brooklyn, theft from a motor vehicle, stealing stuff out of a motor vehicle, and possessions of house-breaking equipment, tools to get into your house and my house, withdrawn. This just shows a pattern, a serious pattern of serious allegations with few convictions and stuff being covered up. I believe it's physically impossible for one Cat Matlala to have just simply slipped through the cracks of a system without assistance. The men in charge, the einste, Shadrach Sibiya, claims he's never heard of this man or his instances of law breaking. What an insult to the intelligence of people like you and me and the average South African. Is this just profound incompetence on the part of the police services, or just another lie to cover up something that is far worse? One of the core issues in this is the businessman receiving a 360 million rand SAPS tender being awarded. Due diligence in this case should have been non-negotiable. This could have been stopped right at the get-go, but it simply slipped through the cracks again. Sibiya is being portrayed as the hero here, the heroic officer who was fired for assisting the powerful, say, people like Richard Mudluli. Yet on the other hand, he claims ignorance of a notorious gangster who effectively holds the justice system in his pocket. This contradiction seems to raise serious questions elsewhere, and with me certainly, about the competence and about the accountability and the corruption at the highest levels within the SAPS. So the next steps and things that I'm going to be watching for sure, and am watching, is the Matlala Commission has been on a bit of an internal recess, nothing public, but it's all being internal because they've got some sensitive material and things they're dealing with that could jeopardize other cases if it came out prematurely. I, for one, am dead keen to see how the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Commission deals with its findings. So will the recommendations, because that's all they can do, they can recommend really, will that lead or translate into actual charges and not just this revelation of information which is being put out there? The effect of the credibility on SAPS and the justice system is massive. This lawlessness that could result and is resulting seemingly. The erosion of trust in our police services and the long-term risks against the law enforcement in our country is severe. Guys, our police are in a crisis. The core issue here, leadership, their accountability and their integrity is absolutely broken. Public confidence, mine included, in our SAP systems is at an all-time low. Can't get lower. We've seen senior leaders in places of influence more focused on fighting each other than fighting the crime that is infesting this country of ours. This is the rot that we're talking about, that organized crime thrives on. Us as citizens in this entire country and hotspots all over the country live in fear, and those victims out there have not seen justice or aren't seeing justice. Why? Because their dockets are disappearing magically disappearing. There's an old idiom that says a fish gets rotten from the head down, and ain't that just damn true? It seems that there's the answers from the top, the stuff that's being uncovered is raising more questions than they actually solve. But there's hope. The hope is that people like Ian Cameron and all those that are going to be interviewing these people will keep digging and scratching and finding and uncovering more and more, and may these people eventually, if they are found guilty, and when they are found guilty, go and rot in jail. That's my call. Guys, this has been happening in the ANC leadership since 1994 when they came into power. There's an old word that I remember from back in my farm days. It's called a skabanga. These skabangas have got to go. These skabangas have got to be voted out. You and I sit with the voting power. Use our next votes wisely. Don't squander them. Don't sit on your hands. Don't put your head in the sand and hope for the best. Go out there and make a difference. We cannot vote in the ANC, EFF, or the MK party in this country. They are no good. Self-glorifying, self-edifying, self-serving people, that we don't need. We need leadership in this country that serves us. Anyway, till the next time, God bless you. Keep your feet on the ground and reach for them stars. Cheers.